Some people call this a spoil bank or a gob heap, but around here, they're bony piles. They're made of waste rock, coal residue, and shale, a byproduct of coal mining that's been thrown into piles like these for the last 100 years. Mountains of bony totaling hundreds of millions of tons dot the landscape all across Pennsylvania.
Almost nothing can grow on these piles, but that's not the worst of it. No fish, no life can survive in this acid water. Some of these streams have been dead for generations.
Then, about 30 years ago, a new technology arrived from Europe, circulating fluidized bed boiler technology, and everything changed.
Now there was a way to burn waste coal with minimum impact on the environment. New power plants were built, including those in Colver and Evansburg, plants that exclusively use bony pile waste as fuel to make steam, to turn the turbines to make electricity.
Many of our county's residents grew up in towns where the biggest mountain around was a bony pile. We thought that would never change. But the Colver Power Project and Cambria Cogen power plants are helping to clean up our communities and bring pride back to our citizens.
With government not having the resources to clean up these bony piles that had accumulated over years and the acid mine drainage that came with them, I think a lot of us in the community thought that they were going to be permanent parts of our future. Then we developed a public-private partnership with the waste coal industry. The piles started getting smaller and smaller, and it all happened without expending taxpayer dollars. So it turned out to be a win-win for our environment, our economy, and for the community as a whole.
Some people think that these are power plants that just happen to help the environment.
But we like to think that these are massive water and land reclamation technologies that just happen to generate electricity. What these plants have done for our area is simply amazing.
This is environmental restoration done on a big scale. Every day, almost 200 trucks, each hauling 23 tons of bony, haul this waste away to be turned into clean, powerful electricity. Hillsides that have been black for almost 100 years are starting to show signs of life.
When the bony pile was here, in the evenings and in early morning, when you come outside, you can get a real strong odor, sulfur odor like rotten eggs. But it would also bring the dirt and the dust onto the house and the porch, and my husband would have to hose the house down sometimes just to get that grime off the house. It is so nice that the bony pile is gone, because now we often sit out on the front porch. I cook out here on the front porch. We sit out here and eat. As a matter of fact, we were able to see deer running on the hillside now that we would have never been able to see before.
And along with the grasses and trees comes wildlife of all kinds. Water that used to run orange with acid is becoming clear again after all these years.
This stream was unfishable for years and years, since I was a boy, and in recent years the waste coal power stations have bought up millions of tons of this waste coal, reburned it, and replaced all of that with an alkaline ash which helped to raise the pH. And I think when you raise the pH of the water and mitigate the acid mine drainage and the pollution, if you look at this river now, we now have mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, all the basic building blocks of a good trout fishery. In fact, it's now a wild trout fishery, catch and release for 26 miles, and my daughters and I enjoy wild trout fishing here yearly.
The change has been amazing. Children born today may never know what a bony pile is, or may never see a dead stream. Being good stewards of the land and water, it's not just lip service to the folks who work at these power plants. It's something they work for every day.
Hiking trails that no longer pass through bony sites. Reservoirs that now welcome folks who like to boat or swim or fish. Residents who no longer live in the shadow of a mountain of waste. These are just some of the benefits that the Colver Power Project and Cambria Cogen provide.
Plus there are jobs, dozens of them, good family-sustaining careers.
It's not just the employees that work at the plant itself, it's also the supporting contractors like myself that are also trying to maintain family-sustaining jobs. We've been servicing the Colver Power Plant for some 20 years now. I don't look at Colver as just my business partner. They're also a community partner.
Everyone, again, good morning. Welcome to Summit. This is the 23rd annual Colver Power Project Invitational.
And that community involvement extends even further to the over 100 scholarships given to high school students, to more than 1,200 winter coats given to the local Head Start chapter, and to the 700,000 pounds of food given to local food banks. Plus, there are the taxes paid by these plants, about $315,000 each year in school taxes alone. That makes a big difference in our schools, our police departments, our highway crews, our fire departments, and so much more. In many ways, these power plants, or land and water reclamation facilities, have made and are continuing to make a powerful and positive difference in our communities. So what does the future hold? They say that it will take another 20 or 30 years to clean up all the bony piles. And with that in mind, Culver just invested $12 million in upgrades to the facility.
It sounds like Colver Power Project and Cambria Cogen are going to be here for a long time. 23 years ago, this was a bony pile. These plants are turning waste coal into electricity and reclaiming lifeless hills and streams, turning them into the magnificent western Pennsylvania landscape that we all love.
Colver Power Project and Cambria Cogen, since 1992 and poised for a productive future, are transforming ecological disasters into environmental treasures.
We hope Colver Power Project and Cambria Cogeneration will continue to operate for years to come, but they face regulatory and economic obstacles that make their future and the environmental benefits they provide uncertain. The future of these and other coal refuse-fired facilities is dependent upon reasonable environmental requirements that recognize the value of these plants to their surrounding environment. We will continue to work with local, state, and federal governments and with the coal refuse industry to encourage their efforts that have not only provided environmental benefits, but also careers and services to the local communities for over 20 years.